torn ACL.
The team said that?
Yeah.
No, I've not heard that. Somebody just told me that she had gotten hurt, but nobody knew what because it was right before practice. So it's a lot of basketball, man, to go from playing a college season, playing a WNBA season, then going right into it's like non-stop, never ending. I can't even imagine how they do it, and how she feels right now, and for somebody who loves the game as much as she does, to be away from it. So that's really, obviously, it's sad. It's sad. So I'll try to catch up with it tonight as I get back.
So what were your impressions of day one?
I think sometimes, we put too much emphasis on what I think maybe the expectations sometimes are a little bit out of whack. I think we as coaches, envision everybody at their best, what they can be. And the only thing we remember is what we look like in March, So when you look like that in March, you think that there's carryover and it's going to look like that the first day in, practice in October. And it's always a reminder that no, it's not, like you have to start all over again. So my impressions, first day, it's like we got to start all over again. And you really start to see the level of difference in the way the older guys carry themselves and execute, and how lost some of the younger guys look. So it's going to be a work. It's going to be a work, and it's going to take some time. But their energy was good. They were anxious to get going. They were upbeat. So all the things you want them to be, but it's just going to take us some time.
We only saw a little bit, but Sarah looks pretty good. Is that because she's been playing USA basketball all summer
Or it may
long?
just be she's a good player. So sometimes, what you see is what really is. I think the whole month of September, there hasn't been anybody that's separated themselves from, that any of the young players, either last year's freshmen or this year's incoming freshmen, no one has really separated themselves. And maybe they were just waiting for practice to start, where it's a little more structured, a little more organized and all that. But, she's been pretty tentative and feeling her way. And, today, when you start playing for real at practice, your instincts just take over. And some people have really good instincts and some people have not so great instincts. So, yeah, she's got a lot of skills that she can take advantage of. Just saw a couple of them today, obviously.
Any early impressions on Caitlin, and is her adjustment any easier because you and Princeton are kind of sort of similar?
Not really. I mean, her adjustment is okay because she's aggressive. She plays hard. She attacks with the ball. So just by nature of her personality, the transition will be not easy, but it'll be easier than if she was passive and coming from a program where they're not used to winning or any of that stuff, or the fact that she's played 4 years of basketball, obviously it shows. But I more than anything, I like her approach. I like her attitude. I like how aggressive she wants to play basketball. And she finishes around the basket. Like, she gets the ball from one place to another, and the ball goes in a lot when she gets in the lane. So we're trying to just play to her strengths more than anything.
So Jenna and Yana out there, just how are they doing in the progression of getting back into the full participation?
Okay, you know, they're a little bit over anxious at times because they haven't played in so long. So conditioning wise, pretty good. Yana more so than Jenna. You know, Yana's, you know, she looks great physically. She's had a pretty good September, and Jenna's been off and on, you know. But both of them, obviously, it gives us a different look than we had. But yeah, no, I'm happy where both of them are, you know, at this point.
And the rest of that group, Aubrey, Carol, AZ,
Yeah.
Morgan.
Yeah, there's nothing going on with that group. They're in various stages of disrepair. Let's put it that way. You know, Morgan's had some lingering stuff from last year in high school, and she's doing more and more every day. So hopefully soon, AZ's on her regular schedule. You know, and that's not going to. You know, we're not going to see her actually playing 5-on-5 for a little bit. And Aubrey hasn't hardly done anything, so she's probably the one that's, you know. And then Carol's still Carol. She's trying to do as much as she can, and then we try to see how it feels. But for her, it's all kind of guesswork still, you know, and we'll see where that takes us. But, you know, we have 10 players on the floor most of the time, so that's a huge bonus, you know, relative to where we were.
Is it too far out? You play your first exhibition game in a month, but is it too far out to know if any of that latter group will be ready for the start of the season?
The ones we just talked about?
Yeah, the AZ.
No, they won't be ready. No. None of them will be ready. AZ, Aubrey, Carol, who else? Morgan. I would expect Morgan to be, yes. The other guys, no. No, they're not going to be ready.
Your bigs look like they can pass the ball and move pretty well. I mean, it looks sluggish out there at times, but
Yeah.
they look like they're pretty fluid.
Yeah, it can look really good, and it can look like you don't want to look at it. But it's there, you know. Other than Yana, I think they all feel comfortable with the ball in their hands, passing it, shooting it. You know, Yana's role is more play D, go rebound it, finish around the basket, not as much of a playmaker. But the other guys feel pretty comfortable doing that. It's just a matter of, you know, getting the chemistry right with everybody else. Doing it in drills is one thing, but doing it when it's live, 5-on-5 is a little bit different. But they'll be there eventually.
How about an ideal world, who's the point guard? Do you want to keep Paige off the ball as much as possible?
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. I don't think anything's. This is definitely that. Yeah, I think it's all. You know, let's just see what happens. You know, I think there's benefits to both things. You know, we had a lot of success last year playing with 4 guards. I don't envision us doing that as many games this year, as much. But it seems like the more ball handling guards we have out there, the better. And having Paige on the ball is always a good thing. Having the ball in Paige's hands is always a good thing. I was probably guilty of not having the ball in her hands more often last year, at times. So I would be happy if the ball was in her hands a lot more than it was last year. Whether that means, you know, she's playing position A, B, C, or D, it doesn't really matter. That's just the way it's going to be. You know?
Do you see her trying to be more aggressive? I know in the offseason you talked about maybe her being a little more selfish.
Yeah. She's living up to what she said, you know, to the point where I'm okay actually with her forcing some things, because I'd rather her do that than be passing things up. So there have been a lot of times this fall, you know, in our workouts where we're having to say, hey, let's get somebody else, let's have somebody else get a bucket, let somebody else try to score rather than Paige, because she's just doing, she wants to do it every time down the floor now. So finding some middle ground there is going to be, but yeah, this is the most aggressive I've seen her since she's been here.
Can you talk about the new shot tracking system that you have on the basket? I saw it at the men's last week, but it wasn't active yet. And now here today, you guys have it active. Talk about just what the benefits are for you guys.
Used properly, the benefits can help you get real-time information, accurately not predicting, but telling you exactly what it is that you're doing, as opposed to the shooting stuff that everybody's used in the past. It tells you how many you made, how many you took, how many you made, and how many you missed. Well, that's great information, except it doesn't tell you how to get better. So technology is such that when you make them, this is why you make them. This is what your shot looks like. When you miss, this is what it looks like. Here's what your misses look like, and here's what your makes look like. So now you can actually address, you know, why I'm missing, and how can I fix it, whether it's, you know, it's the cure-all for everybody, I don't know, but I think the information that it gives back to you is stuff that you can actually work on, you know. And it's not on paper, it's right there, you can see it. I like it. I think it's gonna help some of our players a lot.
What are your expectations of KK and Ashland? Seeing they played so much, what's the next level for them?
I mean, you would hope that all of that playing last year gives them a lot of experience, right? Mm-hmm. To go to another step for them. You would think that last year everything was a surprise for them. Everything that happened was new, and you would like to think that this year it's going to be a little more comfortable for them. Know what to expect. I think both of them have improved, you know, in the areas that I was hoping that they would improve, you know. Ash more defensively than anything else, and KK, I think, understanding more of how to run a team. So I think they've gotten better at the things that I wanted them to get better at. You know, but they've played a lot of basketball, so you would expect that to be true.
What do you envision Sarah's role to be? I mean, what does she do best for you guys?
Well, I don't know, she hasn't done anything yet. So I would think that, you know, each game that we play, it'll tell us a little bit more. People kind of tend to define their own role. You know, a role that you may want for a player and a role that they feel comfortable in may be two different things. So I think a lot of freshmen want to come in and not have a big role. And, you know, I think we need her to have a role that impacts winning for us, whatever that means. And there's an opportunity in the way we play and our style of play where she can make her role as big as she wants to make it. Because there's no limits that I'm going to put on her in terms of, you know, this is your role, you can't do this, you can only do that. And that's going to be determined by what she does every day in practice. That's the way we like to identify roles. You know, so I have an idea what it could be, but I want to see what she thinks it is. And hopefully we agree.
Is this the most size you've had in a while, would you say? On the post?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we had a lot of size last year too. They just didn't, they were all sitting on the bench. So hopefully the size that we do have will actually be out on the floor. But I always go back to, it's pointless if we don't take advantage of it, because you might as well not have it then, you know? And that's one conversation that I have all the time with our players. You know, we were one bucket away from playing in a national championship, and we played with 4 guards almost the entire season, you know? But if it's the right combination out there, now if it's the right combination and we're bigger, then I think that's better. But the people that we're counting on, Ice is our veteran, so that's all you need to know. So let's see what exactly this size means.
Coach, last year you had a lot of challenges. When you reflect on that, is there something that you've learned as a coach that you can bring to this year, given the adversity that you went through?
From last year?
Yes.
You know, last year was just a struggle to keep it afloat. You know, the entire season was about let's make it to the NCAA tournament and see what happens. Whereas this year, so far, knock on wood, we're not thinking let's just keep it afloat. You know, I think our approach can be a little bit different. We can be more aggressive. We can experiment with more things. Last year, we were very cautious and very defensive in everything that we did. So I think what we learned from last year is that we're good enough to be as good as we need to be to put ourselves in a position to win a championship. It's just gonna mean that a lot of young players who haven't played a lot of basketball, you know, Nika had played a lot of basketball, Leah Edwards had played a lot of basketball. You're replacing those two now with people that haven't played that kind of basketball for that long. So you just gotta kind of wait for them to catch up a little bit, but it'll be more aggressive rather than more defensive like it was last year.
Geno, do you have a hope or expectation for when the players who won't be with you to start the season might be able to join you or be able to be in the lineup?
I would say, if I had to guess, I think AZ would probably be back the sooner than anybody else. Carol, I don't know, that's guesswork. Aubrey, for sure, would be after. AZ, I'm thinking, certainly she won't be ready the first week in November or the second week in November, maybe, I don't know. We'll know more once she starts getting out there, but I would say before we get into the biggest, most important parts of our schedule, keeping my fingers crossed that, you know, she can be with us, you know, during that time. She looks great. I mean, she feels great. She's confident. It's just, you know, the world that we live in today, there's more of a let's be cautious rather than let's be, you know, we've been through that, so, you know, that scenario. But yeah, I think AZ will be back before anybody else.
Part of Caitlin's history at Princeton was playing well in the postseason, playing well in big games against, say, power conference teams.
Mm-hmm.
Was that something you liked about her when you noticed her play, and what is it about her personality that you think brings that out, and will it continue, you hope?
Yeah, I mean, if we all had a crystal ball and knew exactly what we were getting and exactly what they were going to do, you know, it certainly would make it boring. And, oh, I'm sorry. But what I liked about Caitlin is, again, she's at practice every day. She's an incredibly hard worker. She's incredibly aggressive. She's smart. She picks things up very quickly, and she comes from a winning program where they challenged themselves against the better teams in the country, and they didn't back down from anybody. And I watch her. Obviously, I think that what she's doing on the court since she got here in June, with some of our practice players that she competes against, that's different for her. They didn't necessarily do that, at Princeton. So it's taken some time to get adjusted to the physicality and the quickness and the speed of the game. But I think she has all the qualities that, if she had been here since freshman year, we would be talking about her as, an All-American, and a really high draft pick. So there were so many things to like about her. There's a lot of things that she did that I'm sure drove Carla nuts too. I can see what they are already. But I don't have her for 4 years. I'm renting her.
How was Phoenix with Diana's possible
How was it?
home game?
Who knows anymore, They were lousy. She was lousy. The game didn't mean anything. It was just fun to, see her parents and, hang out with them for a little bit. But what it meant, I have no idea. I don't think anybody knows. I think Dee's, you know how Dee is. But I'm glad I went out there. I enjoyed it.
Is there any question in your mind that she's the greatest women's basketball player up to this point?
Well, the problem with today's world is people have such short attention spans and such short memories. So if you did something last year, they have to Google it because nobody remembers anything beyond 2 days ago. And if you did something great twice, then you're the greatest of all time because somebody that was really great only did it once. So having somebody that's done what she's done for 20 years, to the people that are influencers today or whatever they do today, they have no idea how good she was or how good she was for the game and the impact that she had. Her impact happened at a time when nobody gave a shit. That's the unfortunate part. That if Dee was 21 years old or 22 years old today, there'd be no telling what, and no one would have been better prepared to have the time of her life enjoying all that stuff than she would have. It's just unfortunate that she was 20 years ahead of her time. But nobody's done more than she's done, I don't think. When you talk about, if you were to line up all her championships from the time she walked into Gamble Pavilion till today, I don't know that anybody comes even close. You think about it. Counting it everywhere, Europe, America, WNBA, college, you name it, for that long. So, selfishly, I hope she keeps playing, and selfishly, I hope she retires. I know she doesn't want to. She loves the game. I think this will probably be the hardest decision of her entire life if she calls it quits. So selfishly, I would like for her to keep playing because I love watching her play. But I also know she wants to be at a certain level, and if she can't be at that level, she's not going to play, and it's going to kill her to have to admit that. So I got to enjoy it. I got to have a front row seat to most of it, so I'm pretty fortunate.